All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, we have a huge fight going down, a rematch headlining BKFC 20. We've got that lightweight championship up for grabs. Reggie Barnett Jr. and Johnny Bedford running it back. Got all the hardware on the line and happy to be welcoming Johnny back onto the show. How's the training and everything going ahead of this one, man?
Training is actually it's perfect. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit, but I made some decisions and stepped outside and went to join a whole new team of sorts. I don't want to ramble too much right at the beginning, but I own I own a big school and I coach at a high level, and I've always done my training camps inside of my own facilities. And for the first time, because of having to make some personal choices to remove people from my life, I've had to look outward, and it was probably a decision I needed to make years ago because it was the best decision I ever made. I get to step outside of being an owner, being a head coach, being all those hats you wear inside the building you own, to just being held accountable like a professional fighter. And it's been the best decision I ever made. I train day in every single day with the best boxers in Fort Worth, Texas, and I've got an amazing coach, amazing team, and we'll be ready 7 days from today. We'll see the best Johnny Bedford we've ever seen. I'm very confident saying that.
Yeah, well, that's amazing that you've had that, additional, wrinkle to the game. I mean, you've definitely shored up a tremendous amount of skills, but cool to hear that there's that new facet to what you're doing. But I'd actually noticed that there was a bit of that situation going on, and obviously you don't have to get into the specifics of it because I'd seen the lengthy post about the severely strained relationship, certain drama in that regard. Has this pivot to the new gym not only helped on a training level, but given a real sense of clarity and just not dealing with that unnecessary kind of stress?
Man, dude, that's actually a really good way to say it, because I was the guy that I had removed from my life, man. He was a partner, a business partner, but he was always my boxing coach. That's how we met. I asked him to be my boxing coach 15 years ago. And I couldn't do it anymore, man. I just kept getting let down by this guy. And my loyalty just ran out. And you said it. Did it give me clarity that I made the right decision? That's exactly what it did. I kind of almost had that moment, because I knew this is what I needed to do years ago. My loyalty to him was holding me back anyways. I was training inside my facility where I was comfortable and I was still the boss. Now I step myself out and I'm held accountable as a professional athlete with nothing but professional athletes surrounding me that are held to the same exact standards. It's been the best decision I've made, and I'm really, really, really excited to go perform in 7 days.
Yeah, and can you talk about the work at FHG Boxing Gym? I was seeing some of the pics on your Instagram, and I was kind of checking out what they were doing there. So can you kind of talk about, some of the specific people you're working with and just, being in that space? Because, you talk about going from, owning your own space, teaching people technique, things like that. What's it like to just be in this space where, there's the student dynamic, learning, and just, different dynamic altogether?
For sure. And, I'm a veteran, so I'm not still learning. I'm always learning and evolving.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The truth was I needed to be coached. I needed someone that held me accountable, and I needed a team, right? I at my gym, I'm the coach, and the real truth is we're more of an MMA gym than we're a boxing gym. I've got amazing MMA guys. We'll be coaching the UFC here very soon, I promise you. But I step out, I go to a boxing only gym. There's guys there that are training to be world champions, and that's their goal, obviously in boxing. So the sparring is on a whole nother level. But yeah, ultimately it was stepping outside and just look, for these 3 hours a day, you're going to be a professional athlete. Doesn't matter what phone calls happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're not a business owner. You're not a coach. You're not anybody. You're a fighter, and I'm excited to finally be in this place and get to reform again.
Yeah, but you were talking about some of the proficient MMA fighters that you've rubbed shoulders with in recent years. It seems like you've been doing some cornering work and supporting fighters like that as of late. Like I was seeing you were at a relatively recent CFFC show. Can you kind of talk about that there and like the dynamics of that? Because I know sometimes fighters are almost like, more nervous cornering people than they are for, competing themselves. So can you kind of talk about some of the dynamics there with some of the cornering work you've done recently?
That's my passion, man. If I'm being really honest, if bare knuckle wasn't a thing, I'd probably be retired in full time coaching. I don't think I'd still be fighting mixed martial arts. I will always love mixed martial arts, but coaching is my passion, and I do a really good job at it. And I get comments on Instagram all the time that people see me on UFC Fight Pass more than they don't. Pretty much every weekend I'm coaching on UFC Fight Pass, and that's not true at all. It's not every weekend, but it is quite often. I've got a really good team, and I'm very proud of them. And just wait, I'll be a Greg Jackson-ish here in a couple of years. I promise that.
Oh no, I believe it, man. It seems like something that you're, very adept with, and I mean, comes across in a number of regards. Like, I mean, you mentioned some of the MMA work there, but I was noticing you also were kind of like holding court at that BKFC tryouts event there, circa May. So it seems like you just really enjoy teaching and imparting that kind of knowledge that you have.
I love it, man. I've been on this dream. This it's a dream, whatever you call it. It's this ride. Then I moved to Texas in 2007 and said I was going to be a fighter. I had already been fighting in Ohio, but there was no income in it. I didn't know shit. Like I took a chance. And I moved to Texas, and I worked for this shitty franchise, and I left, and I took another chance, and I started my own gym like a crazy person. And a year and a half later, I got a big break, and I got selected to the Ultimate Fighter. And 10 years later, bare knuckle, whatever, 8 years later, bare knuckle becomes a thing, and I run with it. And when bare knuckle showed up, man, I knew this was my calling. Like, this is where I'm going to be a world champion. And that happened. I lost a controversial decision in the last fight, but I'm dead set on there's nothing stopping me from getting my belt back.
Yeah, for sure. And just in, kind of addressing that last fight there, it seems like, I mean, there was some level of trash talk heading into it, but it seems like the trash talk has ramped up pretty heavily, since the fight there. And just, it seems like there's a lot of, uncertainty with Dat Nguyen as far as like what he's looking to do. There's been some loose talks about maybe he'll fight like Luis Palomino or something like that. Can you kind of talk about, I guess, just like the nature of the fight and I guess some of the, bad blood that has unfurled recently? And I mean, even if that's a fair characterization there.
Dat Nguyen don't want to fight. Dat Nguyen don't want to fight. I retired Dat Nguyen. I said that. There's more than one way to say you don't want to fight, and that's ask for stupid amounts of money. No one's going to pay you. You're not worth whatever your stupid number you came up with. Like, I know what they're paying me, and I know what they're probably offering you. Like, you don't want to fight. You don't want to fight me. You don't want to fight Reggie. He wants this magic pot of gold to fight whoever. So he thinks that Luis Palomino is going to get it. I don't know what they're going to pay him for that fight, but if he does, it's kind of unfortunate for me because he might be damaged goods by the time I get a hold of him. He's coming back to 135. He has to. He's not going to win at 155. There's no division at 145 right now. So for him to get in that second fight, he's going to have to come to 35. He's got a big freaking mouth. He's going to still claim he's the champ. And I'm going to whoop his ass. And because, like I said, I've erased personal problems. I'm in a really good place in life and in training. And no one's going to beat me. Dat Nguyen, Reggie Barnett, it don't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to fight Reggie. I'm going to beat Reggie. If that's next, that's my hopes. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like the sentiment with Reggie is almost like diametrically opposed from where you're at with Dat Nguyen. It seems like you have a fair bit of respect for Reggie as a man and just as a fighter and everything like that too. So, I mean, is it like, do you have a preference in that kind of regard? Like, is it almost good to have a bit of bad blood with the guy you're fighting? Is it like preferable to have like a level of mutual respect heading into this? Because I also had interviewed Reggie ahead of this one, and he had a lot of positive things to say about just your output and who you are as a man, as a fighter, etc.
Yeah, since Reggie and I fought, it's been crazy because we instantly respected each other after fighting. And then because of that, like, I've got to know him, like, and not like super personally, but I know his dad, I know his mother.
Yeah.
I talked to his mother 3 weeks ago on the phone. Dad made some stupid post and she messaged me. I called her right away. Like, no, ma'am, you don't got to worry about that clown. Dat Nguyen's not coming back. Me and your son are still fighting. I'll see you in 3 weeks. I hope you're doing well. And she couldn't believe that I called her. But, like, I like the Barnett family. I root for Reggie every fight he's in, except for this one.
Fair.
Except for this one. And, yeah.
Well, it seems like a shared sentiment among other people that have fought you in the past, too. Like, Jesse Arnett is an individual who I've talked to quite a few times over the years. And, I mean, he always seems to have, like, glowing praise for what you're doing. I mean, seems like he's kind of like, I mean, he appreciates what you're doing with the bare-knuckle, but I asked him, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I love that Johnny is doing that, though. He's, like, perfectly built for that, though. So, yeah, it's just interesting. It seems like there's that likability factor large in part with people who have fought you in the past there.
I think so. You know, I can rub people the wrong way before we fight the first time, but if you fight me, you're going to respect me. And you bring up Jesse Arnett, that's the man right there, dude. That's one of those guys that, dude, I'll forever respect and root for. That's a guy that we beat the hell out of each other, and that's a fight that it might be my favorite mixed martial arts fight of my life, if I'm being honest. And I've got like 50 some of those, and that's probably there's no problem. And it's probably my favorite fight ever. Anyways, Jesse Arnett, shout out, OG. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone who hasn't checked out that fight, it's available on YouTube, and just an absolute barn burner, great replay value. I've definitely watched it a few times, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on just like Reggie's, I guess, arc since the last fight there, because he's on a bit of a win streak now and halted DeMarcus Corley the last time out. Like, I guess, what are your thoughts on what he's been able to do in terms of like accruing that 3-fight win streak leading into this like sophomore bout between you two?
He's won 3 straight. Has it been impressive? Not really. And I don't mean to be an ass or to be disrespectful, but not really. I understood the Matt Murphy fight he won by. That was his first ever stoppage, I believe. But that was a stoppage because of a cut that Matt Murphy and him both wanted to continue. And Matt Murphy's a tough fight. He's just awkward. He's hard to fight. Like, I didn't have a great fight against him either, so I understand that one. The DeMarcus Corley, the Chop Corley fight was ugly on Reggie's part. Reggie turned into a high school wrestler, not a kid with 80-some amateur boxing fights. He turned into a high school wrestler scared to death to box with Chop and picking him up and slamming him, and he didn't TKO or get a stoppage. He just made that old man quit. That guy's a 47-year-old man and said, fuck this, I'm not getting wrestling. That's not what I signed up for. I'm going home. And but you can't go off, performances, because again, I never fought Chop actually, so that's an interesting hard fight. I probably wrestled with him a lot too. A man can box.
Oh yeah.
He's motivated. I know that, and I think he thinks he's the best guy in the world. And I think he thinks this is going to change his life, and he's going to be a world champion for the first time. And I respect the hell out of that. Like, this is you get your second chance to make a dream come true. And you get to, like, take out the one guy that beat you. It's just unfortunate it's not going to happen for him. And I'm a fan. But we can fight 10 times. I'm going to win 10 times. That's how this saga goes. We're not going to be these guys that need to fight trilogy fights and stuff like that, because it's going to be just like, everyone knows that I'm just the better man at this game, at least. I don't mean that as a person, but I'm the better bare knuckle boxer. I'm 2-0 and there's no denying it.
And I'm kind of wondering, because like I've been talking to obviously you right now, Reggie, prior, and it seems like there's some dialogue about like the winner of this will be seen as the best bare knuckle boxer on the planet, pound for pound. Do you, I guess, see similar stakes attached to this one? Like, would you? I mean, presumably you recognize yourself as the best in the world right now, but would that like further underscore that at all for you?
It's hard, you know. I would argue with anybody. I'm going to be 6-1. Who would you say is that to me? Dat, because he beat me, but that's 3-0, and now hiding. Palomino's what, 3-0? The heavyweight champ's got a loss. He's not undefeated.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think yes. Am I worried about that right now? No. I don't care who's the best bare knuckle boxer in the world right now. I care who's the best bare knuckle 135 pounder in the world. That's for damn sure, and that's what I'm doing first. Greatest bare knuckle boxer pound for pound or of all time list, that shit's gonna be decided. I've got 5, 6, 10 more fights to go, and then I'll submit my name as the greatest bare knuckle boxer there is, because I'm gonna try like hell to get my Dat Nguyen revenge, and I'm gonna beat whoever else they put in front of me. So that's how it's gonna, you know. Again, I don't put a bunch of worry on who's the best pound for pound guy in the organization right now. It doesn't mean anything. All it means to me is I need to be the number one 135 pounder before I worry about anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from, but I mean, getting the desired outcome if you have those shiny BKFC and Police Gazette belts adorned on your shoulder. Again, I mean, you talk about looking to like get a handful of fights in. It seems like the, you know, Dat Nguyen fight is something you're looking to get back there. I mean, I guess if you have your druthers in terms of like the ideal fights for the rest of the BKFC run, is a lot of it looking like 135 and just defending the hardware, or maybe some fights north of that? Because I've also seen call-outs and a little bit of banter with, like, you know, Tyler Goodjohn, Jim Allers, etc.
I'd go to 45, but 45 is dead, unfortunately. Bare knuckle, I've said in every interview, the best division in bare knuckle boxing right now is 135 pounds. There's no denying it. You got Reggie Barnett, you got myself. We're 11-2 in the sport. Dat Nguyen's undefeated. Cherry Grant's undefeated. No other division can say anything like that in their top 4 guys. We're the best division in bare knuckle fighting. I would gladly go up to 145. I've got the size and stature to do it. I'm a big 135er.
Yeah.
But it's dead right now. There's not a fight there. So I guess I'm going to eat a lot more salad and make 135 because it's hot. And that's what they're going to pay me. And I'm going to be the champ. And I'm going to have someone else going to be coming for this belt. Whether it's, you know, I'm hoping, obviously, I'm hoping that that's my next fight after Reggie. But as long as there's a paycheck, I'm going to be there. So it doesn't matter who the hell they, you know, I could say who I want to fight, but you give me anybody, I'll be there.
I would definitely agree with that assessment, though. Just in doing media work for BKFC, I would say 135 is like the premier division. I mean, it's just such a deep talent pool. I mean, you got a ton of different matchups. It had pretty favorable placement at that, you know, Knuckle Mania show, just in terms of like where it was at on the show. And I mean, even like what you guys are bringing into this fight with like the combined 11-2 record, just some OGs of the game knuckling up and towing the line there.
That's exactly it. You get to see, we've been here since the beginning. Reggie and I we've been here from the beginning. We didn't carry this promotion. This promotion's done amazing things on their own. They're awesome. I'm super thankful to be a BKFC employee. But yeah, I mean, you get to see real. This isn't some guys are going out there for the first or second time and trying to figure out this bare knuckle game. You got some OGs. We know what we're doing, and we're gonna put on a show next Friday night.
Yeah, and it's cool too because like we were talking about even prior in the conversation about how as much as you're a veteran, there's still that constant learning curve, and it seems like even with like the BKFC rules that there's a constant learning curve whereby you see like, you know, different wrinkles and like different permutations almost on like an event to event sort of basis there.
It's I don't know if I got your question right, but I mean it's just a new sport. I mean everything's changing. You've got to evolve. And, you know, you're going to fight guys that come from MMA backgrounds. They're going to fight completely different than guys that have only boxed their whole life. And this is exciting. I'm super thankful. The sport is freaking huge now. And I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt. And we were talking about some of the coaching endeavors prior. I also thought it was really cool that you posted the video, coaching your little girl in jiu-jitsu competition there. Can you kind of talk about that? Because that definitely made me smile, seeming like a coach, but a super proud dad, moreover.
Yeah, I'm a dad. That's my most important job. I fight for a living, and we talk about owning two schools, two pretty big gyms now. But ultimately, I'm a dad, and I love it. That's the way I get to connect with my kids, is through martial arts, because I get to be really active and part of it. I'm the coach, right? So I coach the kids class in my gym. I'm probably overqualified to be a kids coach, but it's my favorite class I teach. My daughter, yeah, you saw on my Instagram me coaching her. I have a stepdaughter that's 7 months older than her. She trains jiu-jitsu now. And then I have a 14-year-old boy too. And, even like jiu-jitsu is important to me for my son, because my son is not me. He doesn't want to compete. He doesn't want to be a fighter. He's super into acting, and I support the hell out of him. I love him. But he still does jiu-jitsu once or twice a week, and it's something that we get to do together, and it's important to me. And, yeah, I love the life that I live. I get to wake up every day and do, what I'm passionate about. And that's not many people in this world, so I'm thankful.
Yeah, it's cool you have that bond with your kids and you're able to, share in those experiences there. But, as we're kind of wrapping up here and everything like that, I wanted to address another interesting social media post I saw. This kind of ties into the CFFC cornering a little bit there. You finished a 3-mile run and you happened to run into CM Punk there. It seemed like you guys chopped it up a bit about his endeavors in pro wrestling and just a few other topics from what it seemed like. What was that interaction with CM Punk like there?
It was cool. Yeah, we were just in the hotel, and I was there coaching, but obviously in fight camp. So I was in the gym just getting a workout in, and oh shit, that's CM Punk. Obviously I knew he was going to be there for commentating. But yeah, I just said hello, who I was. He knew who I was once I introduced myself. I don't think he had a clue who I was just walking in, but that's okay. But no, it was interesting to see how I had no clue. I grew up like I'm hurt some feelings, but I grew up real wrestling. Like we wrestled in Ohio, and that's all I did 12 months a year. And so I had to figure out how do you decide you want to be a professional wrestler?
Yeah,
it's crazy, right? It was cool because it's no different than you want to be a professional fighter. You got to fucking risk everything to get there. You know what I mean? You're going to be broke. You're going to be poor. You're going to lose friends. You're going to do all this shit, and some are going to make it and some aren't. And great for that dude. He made it. You know what I mean? So I always root for those guys. I know other people's success is good. It doesn't mean it's negative for me. I'm happy for people's success.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I mean, the wrestling fandom and the sense of the amateur wrestling seemed to come across a bit ago too. I mean, you got to, check something off the bucket list a little bit. You got to go to the U.S. Wrestling Olympic Trials in Fort Worth there. So cool that you were able to do that there.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. I was they came back. Texas typically, it's getting way better, but it's not a wrestling state, right? I grew up in the Midwest. So, but because of COVID and Texas being freaking Texas and awesome, with a good governor, they needed a place for the Olympic trials. So let's bring it to Texas. So I wasn't mad at it. I got to go watch the Olympic trials. Very cool. I was, not shit like that doesn't happen every day. So I was super excited about it. I got to watch Kyle Dates versus Jordan Burroughs. What? That's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I'm happy you were able to do that. But again, to reiterate, definitely want to be mindful of your presumably busy schedule. Great getting to chop it up as always, man. But just in the interest of, being mindful of that schedule there, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're, wrapping things up here?
No, I mean, I think I'm super thankful for obviously guys like you and anyone that's watching, because it's the people like you that care enough to watch this that allow me to live this dream. I truly mean that. I've been on this ride since I took my first amateur fight in 2003. So I just said I'm going to fight, and I've lived a crazy. It's been ups and downs, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it's because of, people like you that give a shit, that want to watch me fight, that allow me to do this. So I appreciate it more than you know. I've been in this game, so I know, like, the business side of it, and everyone's, for me to get paid, the promotion's got to get paid. So I need y'all supporting them, like, and it all comes together. No, just thankful for the opportunity, thankful for anyone watching, and tune in. We're 7 days away till I get my belt back.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, man. I mean, it's a huge thrill for me to get to, like, pick the brains of, people that are, like, so deep into combat sports, and just something I've been passionate about for a long period of time. So definitely a, mutual sentiment. I appreciate getting to have these conversations, but I'm especially going to appreciate checking out this fight, BKFC 20, apropos, that is going down on August the 20th. Bedford versus Barnett 2, that lightweight championship up for grabs, the BKFC belt, and that Police Gazette hardware that has such a rich lineage to it there. So again, to reiterate, thanks for coming on the show, man. Always good chopping it up, and just, looking forward to checking out the fight. You have a good one.
Hey, have a great day, man. Thank you very much.